Hey everybody, welcome to another fun-filled episode of the Space Dragon Podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Horror Guy Keenan. With me is Seamus Burke.
Hello!
And Lee Wren.
What's up?
So it's been a while since we did our last podcast. I'd say the last one we did was Star Wars.
Yeah, the last one with more than just two of us. Yeah.
Right, yeah. As some of you might not know, our other co-host, Matt Pellegrino, is now a daddy.
Yay!
Yeah, he's doing daddy duties. So, ew, gross. So
yeah. Nice little double entendre there.
Yeah, so we're doing the show, The Three Amigos, right now, for this one.
I call Steve Martin.
Yes, exactly. I get to be Martin Short.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, nice, sweet. I get Chevy Chase. I didn't think it was going to be that good.
Yeah, quit being a dick. But yeah, no. So we have a great show. Before we get into all that, I just want to let you guys know as well that Lee and I have Gamer Gab for console gamers alike, where Lee and I talk usually every week to every other week about new games and things like that coming out. So we're the ones posting all those Let's Play videos and stuff on YouTube and Twitter. So definitely check those out when you can. But this is the main show.
Playing a lot of Xbox.
Yes.
Hopefully, I will be joining you in that soon.
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, gotta figure that out. I've been talking about it for the last few months, and we gotta see what the tax return says. But we're looking at it.
That is a deciding factor. I got a surround sound with my tax return.
Ooh.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Definitely saving up nothing and just throwing my money away.
Yeah, fuck it.
All right, so let's just jump right into it. Let's go with, since we are in Orlando, Florida, some really big theme park news has been released dealing with Star Wars.
Yay!
According to Disney Parks blog, the stage show dubbed The Star Wars A Galaxy Far, Far Away will debut on April 4th and play out iconic moments from the film saga on center stage with a number of iconic characters including Darth Vader, Darth Maul, Chewbacca, and Kylo Ren. In addition, Captain Phasma and a crew of the First Order stormtroopers will march from Star Wars launch bay to center stage several times a day. And then there's also a fireworks show called Star Wars A Galactic Spectacular Seamus, go into that a little bit.
Sure. So they have a fireworks show right now that they've been doing for a while that has been Star Wars based. When Disney when Star Wars weekends ended last year in May, it was the last one because they're doing all these Star Wars expansions. And Hollywood Studios never really used to have a fireworks show.
Yeah.
Well, with the popularity of Star Wars and Frozen, they've been going back and forth on doing fireworks shows for those depending on the season. So now they've been doing the same Star Wars fireworks show that they did at Star Wars weekends every night at Hollywood Studios, and it hasn't included anything for Force Awakens yet. So no Force Awakens music, no like characters or anything.
Yeah.
So with the new show, they're going to be including that stuff, and they're going to be expanding the special effects. So before it was just like John Williams music and like cued fireworks, and it was super cool because it's crazy loud, and they're like Hollywood Studios is a very small park; it's really cramped. So it makes you feel like you're in like a giant concert hall. And some of the new stuff that they're going to be doing is like a laser light show, like on the fireworks. They're going to have images come up on the Chinese theater, similar to the fireworks show over at Magic Kingdom, where they do like video like on the castle and stuff.
Yeah, I heard it's like the trench run, and they'll do like Naboo, and like make you feel like you're in those locations.
Yeah, and have like like marching brigades of like battle droids and stuff.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and then the biggest part that they're going to do is they're going to have giant columns of flame come out at some point in the show. They're going to emulate lightsabers, so they're going to shine like colored light into the flame to make them look like giant lightsabers going up to the nice guy in the middle of the fireworks.
That is so much cooler.
I thought it was going to be like some kind of sweet wrestling entrance.
Oh, man. And they probably will, though, because they do the stage show that Keenan mentioned. They have something similar, or they did have something similar at Star Wars Weekends. When Disney acquired Star Wars, they got rid of like a fun show that they did called the Hyperspace Hoopla. Long live Hyperspace Hoopla, by the way. And what it was now was like this more like characters from the park just kind of like walking out to like demonstrations, and they would have like little like special effects things. And they always did that right in front of the fireworks, like time wise. So I would think that they're going to do a similar thing. They'll probably have the show a couple times a day at the big stage right in front of the Chinese theater at Hollywood Studios, and then like the last show will lead like directly into the fireworks show. So they'll probably have like characters underneath the fireworks, with the big like flames going off to the side. It's like Kylo Ren walks in or something like that.
Yeah. No, that's pretty awesome. So yeah, kind of like a wrestling intro.
Yeah, basically.
That's nuts.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah. It's cool that because we heard that they were kind of, doing away with Star Wars weekends, and they kind of bummed us all out, but we knew the Star Wars stuff was slowly going to start getting rolled out.
Right.
As this new expansion came out, and it seems like this is like wave 1 of like 5,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this is them doing stuff that they can before they complete the expansion, basically.
Yeah, and I think it also, when they turned over the rights to Kathleen Kennedy, and like Star Wars kind of went from this change of like, went from the Lucas hands of like, just mass produce as much as you can. So there was tons of like, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck outfits, and like Star Wars kind of mended, and now they kind of want to keep it back to the serious, just Star Wars, the characters themselves.
Yeah.
They're really mending the properties, right?
Yeah, no, I've definitely noticed that. There isn't like they've always had the Fab Five dress up as like famous like Star Wars characters. So like Mickey's always been Luke, Goofy's been Vader, Minnie's been Leia or whatever. They're not doing that at all for the new cast.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
no,
wow.
there is no like Kylo Ren Donald. Like
Right.
they're not doing that at all.
Mhm.
Which is really cool because it's protecting the property and kind of keeping it its own thing until the new trilogy is done.
Right. No, yeah,
That makes
I think
sense.
it's a good idea.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't really see anything wrong with having less overlap for something like that, especially
absolutely.
until, like you said, until it like runs its 3-movie, course.
Right.
Right.
At least specifically for that for that trilogy. You
Yeah.
know.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Since we're on Star Wars news, I'll jump to a comic book news that I have here. Marvel Comics is making a 5-issue adaptation of the Star Wars Force Awakens to release this June. I don't know if you guys ever read any of the other comic book adaptations from like Episode 1 or even just the original movies. They kind of had like these Dark Horse, just like it's the movie in a comic book form.
Right.
I guess they're doing the same thing with Force Awakens from Marvel.
I think I read a few of the ones for like original trilogy stuff, but I didn't really I didn't get into all of them because I kind of know what happens already.
Right.
Um,
I was like, why were they making this? And the fact that like you don't really get, at least from the last ones that Dark Horse put out, you didn't really get much more in the story.
yeah, see, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, I didn't know if they were gonna add cause I barely even remember reading those because it was so fucking long ago. But do you know if there's anything specific in those comics that isn't something you'd see in the movie?
No, they haven't said yet. They just said that's coming out in June. So,
Or movies?
I
Okay.
imagine like the one-off, C-3PO comic and stuff that tells about his red arm, and like those are the things that like, those are the side stories for that story.
Right.
So I guess this is just literally just the movie on pages, which I think is kind of based.
It's an old holdover from movie marketing, from decades ago when there wasn't home media. So like, if your family couldn't afford the VHS, then you bought like the comic book or the book adaptation.
Right.
So like the book adaptation is fine because you get like deleted scenes in there and you get like character insight, and that's really cool. But the comic book is basically the movie, and when when the movies come out on Netflix in like 2 months, like it's pointless for the comic to exist if it's not going to add anything to the story.
That's why I've always felt weird about stuff like the novel based on the movie kind of thing coming out. Like, to me, I'm like, why bother?
Yeah.
Right.
If there's legitimately something in it that adds to the movie that wasn't there previously, like some kind of cool new background story element, like that's what this guy was doing behind the scenes or in between these two scenes, and you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool that they like peeked a little bit more into the universe. But if it's just like a straight adaptation, then I don't really see the point.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Shadows of the Empire Dark Horse comic they released, because it was kind of like, I read the book and I kind of had my own visions in my head, and then kind of seeing what they kind of envisioned in the trade paperback. Yeah. So it's cool to see like those same kind of layouts done for like a book. It kind of worked out really well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that probably translated pretty well for Shadows because it didn't have a movie.
Exactly, yeah. And so it kind of worked, like if you watched, A New Hope, Empire, read that comic, and then watched Return, it kind of like had this really cool flow to it.
Right.
But a good thing though, we are getting the Poe Dameron comic in April.
So excited.
Man, I'm so excited about
So
that.
I think that'll be a really cool look into the Rogue Squadron universe.
I'm so goddamn excited for that.
Yeah, so way more than the Force Awakens adaptation.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's almost like a requirement these days. Where I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. Yeah, you got to do this thing. I care about this other thing.
Yeah. Now, all right, jumping into comic books here. So as you guys have known, that 2016 is bringing a lot from Marvel and DC, not just from their movie studios, but from their comic book area as well. Obviously, the movies are hyping what they already have. And Marvel was kind of the first person to, well, I guess not really. DC was the first person to jettison the 52 again. Remember that?
Right.
I think it was
Yeah.
like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they kind of restarted everything. Then they restarted everything again with Convergence. And now they're resetting everything again.
Yeah.
Oh my
this
god.
summer.
DC's favorite thing to do is reset their universe. It's absurd.
It's like they make it for like people to get into it for 12 months and then hate it at like month 10 and then just get like wiped out and then to do it again. And it's just absurd. Now, Marvel is doing, I guess did the same thing this January, where now Wolverine's played by X-23 and you have female Thor.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. You've got like Miles Morales, Spider-Man involved with like normal 616 universe characters and shit too. Like,
yeah. The Marvel thing was that some grand orchestrator, big bad villain number 2, took all the separate Marvel universes and just kind of like smashed them all together, so that now there's only like one cohesive universe. So a lot of like the flack of like people, like characters out of the different universes, like died off and like becoming the main stakeholder.
Right.
Peter Parker, like 616, Peter Parker isn't around anymore, but Miles Morales is.
Right.
But like 616, Carol Danvers is around, and like Spider, like one of the 2099s is like the main person. Like, so you're taking from all these different places and just sticking them all in one universe for now.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Seamus, just a heads up, your mic is doing the thing again. Yeah, so with this, they have, I guess, a Civil War 2 is coming out, obviously to piggyback off the movie coming out this summer.
Yeah.
The big event is set to release this June. Marvel's all different Avengers coming to Iron Man's aid. I'll post a picture on our Facebook page, and they just released a splash of all these new characters that are going to be in the new the second Civil War, I guess. But it's currently Iron Man's current team, which is Bryan Michael Bendis and David Marquez, are going to be doing it. And it looks pretty cool, but it's just weird to me that you would do a second Civil War. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're using it to capitalize on the popularity of the last one.
Right.
Because I think it's about 10 years since the first Civil War, and because of the Captain America movie. Like,
right. Exactly.
Like Marvel's not dumb.
Oh yeah, no. And I mean, look at DC is literally following in the same footsteps as Jim Lee will be joining the Suicide Squad creator team as one of its rotating artists.
Of course.
Yeah, the twice a month comic will release this fall as part of DC's Rebirth. The series will start with the Suicide Squad Rebirth number 1 shot before transitioning into a full series. So it looks like DC's doing the same thing off their Suicide Squad. They're just going to have, push that comic out, and then they have their new, Avengers, or I'm sorry, JLA comic coming out, and it's just, everybody's piggybacking off their new comics. It's kind of sad. I really liked back in the day when we just had, I got into the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck. I want to see what this universe is all about. And then you read the comics, you're like, this is so much fucking better.
I don't even know how you said that with a straight face.
I know. Well, I was just trying to think of something that came out, it was good in theaters.
Right.
It got you to read this really great material that's out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess it's one of those inevitable things where now that these comic book movies are so ridiculously popular and that's just like the thing that everybody wants to see every year. I mean, we've got like 20 or 30 of them coming out in the next few years between the two companies. Well, it's like, it was only a matter of time before that started having some kind of major effect on its comic book counterpart, you know?
Yeah.
Which I guess would technically be the less popular, media version of the story. Like, everybody goes sees the movies, but like, not everybody goes and, reads the comic books.
Right.
So they're gonna take the movies and be like, all right, well, let's use that to affect the comic books. And
yeah, it's totally a crutch. But I mean, hopefully it gets you to kind of read these side comics. Like, I think they're doing a Deadpool versus Gambit series, which I always found that
I read about that.
The versus Gambit series has always been fun, like Wolverine versus Gambit and Cyclops versus Gambit. Like they always seem pretty fun. So having Deadpool in that kind of mix, and I think Gambit since they're both mutants, it kind of works pretty well. So I think that'll be a lot of fun, especially after the movie just came out. You know what? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Deadpool movie.
Woo!
That came out.
The movie was pretty good.
Lee, tell us, what did you think of the Deadpool film?
What did I think of the Deadpool movie? It was really enjoyable. I mean, honestly, it was one of those movies that I felt like, from everything that I had heard and just from the way Ryan Reynolds talked about it, and you could just tell that people were genuinely excited to be working on this movie. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, that's one of those things that were like, that's a good sign. And you can you're safe to get your hopes up and, to expect something really good, out of a movie. And honestly, I wasn't disappointed. Like, I got really psyched up about this movie because of just like I saw the one trailer, kind of left it alone. Mm-hmm. Then Ryan Reynolds just kept talking about, like, he's been waiting for so long to get this. Also, like, I felt like he deserved to redeem the character.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Oh, absolutely.
Not only for him, but for fans as well, who are like, that's not fucking Deadpool.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And, and he even, like, there were jabs at it,
So many.
That and his Green Lantern role, among others, So I thought that was really, really cool. I enjoyed that they basically said, like, fuck you to all that old stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But I really enjoyed it, and I think it was one of those movies where, like, that budget cut that they got, like, right before production, I think that helped. Because there were going to be more characters in it, weren't there?
I don't know.
I think there was something about, like, they were originally planning on having either another villain or, like, another hero to, like, team up with was going to be in it.
Yeah.
But, like, last minute, they cut the budget, like, drastically.
Yeah, because your villain wasn't really anybody. The villain was just kind of like a guy, right?
Yeah,
it was like Ajax, and then there was I don't remember what the girl went by.
I have no
idea. Or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there was like her.
Mm-hmm.
And like, they're cronies, I guess.
But it was good. It made you focus on Deadpool, as the character. He didn't take anything away from that.
Yeah. I do like. I don't know if concerned is the right word, but I'm definitely gonna be hesitant to how 2 is gonna go, because Deadpool, like, making a Deadpool movie is kind of complicated in the fact that, like, that character is so unique that I don't know if another movie done in that fashion is gonna do as well. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm really intrigued by, I mean, I guess if I shouldn't have said it, we haven't really spoiled nothing yet, but this is a big spoiler alert. So for the next 30 seconds, go ahead and hit your mute button. But Cable is supposed to be in the next movie.
Yes. It was teased in the like mid-credit thing, right?
Yeah. So, yeah. And that's really exciting, and I can't wait to fucking see what they do with that, because their team-ups in the comics have always been really entertaining.
Oh, they've been great, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like...
Cable's the perfect, like, straight man to the Deadpool.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But it's like, can you capture that lightning in a bottle again? You know? Just for some kind of character that's so off the wall and the breaking the fourth wall is kind of his thing. Like, is that joke gonna be good again?
I think so. Movie? I think with the right side characters, it could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it needs the TLC that the first one had, like, don't throw too much money at it, I'd say. Like, give it enough to get the royalties. Like, me and Seamus were talking before the podcast, how they made that kind of quick joke about it. There would be more mutants in this movie if we had a bigger budget.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's fine. You put the money there so you can get the licensing to get other different mutants and stuff like that, but keep your main focus on Deadpool and, like, breaking the fourth wall and the storytelling.
Yeah.
Which I even thought, I was really happy to see there wasn't too much breaking the fourth wall. Like, it happened and then it was done with, and we still had a really good dynamic between him and his girlfriend, and learning that's the Wade Wilson story,
Yeah.
So now that that's all kind of out of the way, if they do a sequel, I mean, it's probably going to be 100% just focused on the Merc with the mouth, you know?
Absolutely.
The way they cut between, the flashbacks and the origin stuff, the way they cut that together made me not hate an origin story. Which was really fucking exciting because, like, there's so many of those. Having been a Spider-Man fan, I've had to watch it twice.
How many times must you watch Uncle Ben die?
Fucking. And then I'll have the guy from Wings come in and kill him too.
Right.
Yeah. I think I've seen Batman's parents die probably about over.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, they've died a whole lot.
Must we watch those pearls drop in water again?
Yeah, one more time.
Damn
it means we're gonna sell more tickets. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. One day it's a rubber ducky, and you're like, wait a second, that's what she had that on her.
Wait, what?
So praise all around for Deadpool.
Absolutely.
Did great in the box offices. So yeah, hope to see more from him. Have you guys watched all of Jessica Jones?
Yes, I finished the whole thing. Well, I finished it like within a month of it coming out, I think.
Shamus?
I have not seen it yet.
Okay.
Oh man,
I know.
Gotcha.
I hate myself for it.
Jameis, no.
I know. I loved Alias, and I love Jessica Jones, as a character from the comic books.
Well, that's a great thing.
She had such an interesting role in the first Civil War, which is when I really got into buying a book every week.
Yeah. Figuring out who she was, and yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I really need to watch it.
Yeah,
it's pretty good, man. I would definitely argue to say that it's better than Daredevil season 1.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that, but I do think it's really good.
Yeah, I've had everybody has either told me they agree with me, or they're like, no, Daredevil was definitely better. I guess it depends on what you're looking for.
Right, it's just kind of what mood, what kind of storytelling you like more. But yeah, I finished Jessica Jones over the weekend, and it's Seamus, if you really enjoyed the Pulse comic, you will like this, because it's almost like a word for word verbatim.
Perfect.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of some side characters that weren't in that are in this, but it's really good. And yeah, definitely check it out. I think next on the plate we have is Daredevil season 2, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
They just
that's
released
the next
a teaser for that.
Yeah, with Punisher and Elektra.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that should be really cool.
How do you guys feel about John Bernthal being Punisher? By the way,
I was about to say I'm in love with it.
Yeah.
I just saw
Big
him. Man, what did I see? Oh, I just watched Fury for the first time the other day.
Oh yeah, I watched that.
He's a dick in that movie.
Ago. Oh, he's a fucking asshole. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, besides the fact that he's taking a photo with our dick friend, fucking with them sitting next to each other that I had to take.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
He just gets put in the douchiest roles, like Shane from The Walking Dead. That guy from Fury. I think he was in the last Rocky movie, but he wasn't really that big. The one with Rocky's son.
Oh, I never saw it actually.
Okay. And then, now he's the Punisher, which is the ultimate dick.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say he's kind of being typecasted.
Yeah, but for good reasons. I mean, they're great dicks to be.
Yeah.
So.
Do what you're good at, I suppose.
Exactly. Do the dick. All right.
Jesus Christ.
Moving on. So we're talking TV news. This is a huge announcement that I didn't think most people gave enough praise, especially on our Facebook and our social media pages. Bryan Fuller, the creator of Hannibal, is taking over showrunning for CBS's new Star Trek series.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he wrote on Voyager and Deep Space Nine and is a huge Trekkie. So they are looking at somebody who, over the years, has made some really great television and stuff that just really looks beautiful. If you ever watch Hannibal, it has this almost every scene looks like a beautiful painting in a museum. So to see him come to CBS and jump it back into Trek again and create the new series is just really great and satisfying to hear, because we kind of have not been doing too well on the the TV series.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Enterprise is okay. I'll give it that. I just didn't really get into it, especially since it was on UPN or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't even CBS.
That Enterprise came way later compared to a lot of the other ones too, right?
I think it came maybe I want to say 4 or 5 years after Deep Space.
Yeah.
I
mean, which you could argue was late in the game. So I mean,
right. But now that the series has these 2 movies that have kind of come out and kind of got people back into the Trek universe again, but not to the extent of Star Wars. I would say that it's a safe bet to make this show, and apparently they want to go the route of trying new things. Like, you'll see a lot of old races and characters and things that you liked from your old Star Trek TV series, including just new races. And kind of like that's what Star Wars is doing too. Like, not piggybacking off of the old races that you remembered, but just create, because it's a huge universe out there, you know? And that way you can do a lot more things. You have a lot more leeway to write and play with things. So I'm excited to see a new Star Trek series on television and kind of separate itself from these J.J. Abrams films.
Yeah, I agree. They definitely have a lot of room for making their own stamp on the brand.
Yeah, I mean, I think after putting those two movies out too, you've gained a new type of audience. So I'm kind of curious to see like how well that goes. I mean, because those movies tend to, like people are really argumentative about those movies, like where old Trekkie fans just are not happy with the way that these movies are made. But then you have people that weren't big Trekkie, like Star Trek fans before, that now watch these movies and are like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Right.
Kudos to J.J. Abrams for just being a good director. Like, whether or not the writing of the story is good or anything, he's good at making movies. So, you're gonna pull these new fans in. I'm kind of curious to see how that interacts with like a new TV show, considering it's been so long since we've had one.
Exactly, and I think it's one of those things where I know the new Star Trek trailer has not really satisfied Trekkie fans. Like they've been kind of
like done by Justin Lin or something like that.
Yeah, they've been on this kind of like hyper Star Trek movie thing, and it's like, all right, we'll go along with it, sure. And then they kind of separated the whole like Spock and Kirk sacrifice for each other thing and flip flop it. And I know that pissed off a ton of Trekkie fans.
Yeah.
Because it was almost felt like a cop-out after making such a great first film. You now have this third film, which is done by a Fast and the Furious director that looks just like a fucking Fast and the Furious, just action-packed. Just not what Star Trek is.
Fast and Furious in space.
Yeah. So
to play devil's advocate, it is just a trailer. And I've seen a lot of really shitty cut trailers that did not do the movie justice, so I don't know if we have enough to write on yet. But it definitely looks like Justin Lin made the movie. That's very obvious.
Yeah, and I think they're going for that audience. And I think this CBS show, which is being very careful with having Bryan come on, is that it'll satisfy those people that enjoy Trek more at a more like a tone, good storytelling, hearing the hum of the back of the ship, like while their dialogue's going, like that Trek, So
I mean, one can hope.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea, and I hope we get this show for fucking 10 seasons.
Yeah,
so
that'd be awesome.
We'll see. Venture Brothers is back. No, you guys haven't jumped on it yet, I'm guessing.
I'm way fucking behind on that show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good thing is you can literally jump in this season and be completely fine because the boys and Dr. Venture they've gone to New York and they've kind of made their own Stark Tower there. So they're away from like the old place and they're kind of just like learning life in the city. And just from that alone is pretty hilarious. As well as the Monarch teaming up with what's the henchman with like the fatter henchman?
Oh, what was his alter
24?
Yeah.
24. 24 and the Monarch are like best buddies now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they work together, and it's kind of like 24 is more of the head now, where the Monarch is showing kind of his lackey.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it works out really well. I'm not gonna spoil more of it, but yeah, this season's hilarious. I definitely recommend checking that out.
Yeah, I gotta get around to watching that again, or getting caught up on it. That is.
Yeah. Like I said, if you don't want to get caught up and there's too much, they've written the show perfectly to where you can jump in now, and they don't really harken back on previous stuff too much.
Yeah.
This season, so
that's good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I'm probably gonna do that because the seasons where Sergeant Hatred is like the focal point are just so goddamn tedious.
Oh yeah, exactly. Some of them just ring on, and you kind of miss Brock. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, now Brock is definitely back to being the boys' handler, and it works out well.
Awesome.
Gravity Falls ended. I don't know if you guys ever watched that or are fans of that show. But it was basically Twin Peaks X-Files for kids on Disney Channel, or Disney XD, I should say. And they did a really good job of keeping things spooky and creepy. And they had an Armageddon at the end of this last season where
Oh shit.
basically everything got turned up on its head and the intro was all on fire and it kind of was like demonic-y in a weird way. And it ended up in a good note. I really liked it. It was really good. Like they wrote it for just 2 seasons and that was it. I like shows that can do that and they won't just milk it for all it's worth, especially when they're owned by Disney.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, the other show that I can think of that did an Armageddon arc and then just never died was Supernatural.
okay, yeah, jeez.
That's like on season 57 or something like that, at least.
Yeah.
That show's been running for like 100 years. I'm convinced.
I saw a commercial the other day, and it was, God, who was it? Somebody shows up, and they have Castiel shows up, and he has, what's the little, the demon's name that has like an Australian or a British accent?
It's
like,
fuck me. What the hell? I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, he has him in a cage like he's a dog. And that's like the focal point.
Crowley?
Yeah, Crowley.
Yeah.
I was like, what the F is going on in this show now?
Yeah, that show's getting real weird. But back to Gravity Falls, like, I've never watched it, but I've heard that show is chock full of nerd, like, throwbacks and callbacks and fans.
Oh yeah, like if you like Scott Pilgrim and like the like One Up and things like that, and like pixel art, like they throw some of that in there, and there's lots of little like nerd winks and stuff, especially when you're an adult. It's mainly for like if you have kids and you're an adult nerd, like you can sit there and enjoy those jokes.
Right,
you get it,
Yeah.
Even as far as like I've seen like comparisons where it's shots from other big nerd movies and they kind of filmed it similarly or animated it similar to the way it was in that movie. And unless you were looking for it, you wouldn't be able to know, but a big fan would be like, oh, that's kind of framed up like the fight in Akira or something like that.
Right. Or like Crouching Tiger, which is getting its next movie on Netflix, I think, next week.
What?
Yeah, there's a sequel to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon coming on Netflix.
Yeah.
Do we need that?
Yes, we do. We totally need that.
I mean, there are enough bad kung fu movies on Netflix. Like, I think we can live without another one.
Yeah, but at least we're getting an updated one. Like, I'm so tired of not having, like any really good kung fu movies, so the fact that I get ones with people flying in the air with swords, yeah, I'll watch it. If it sucks, I'll give it 1 star and keep moving on.
Keenan, you go ahead and test that out and let us know.
I will. I'll let you guys know next month. Sure. Just like I tested out DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
Hey,
nice.
Solid segue.
Yes. I didn't watch Arrow. I didn't watch Flash. I watched S.H.I.E.L.D. I liked the first season of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then not so much the second season.
It got better.
I like Jessica Jones. And I like Daredevil. So I was like, all right, I'm going to give a DC property the time. And it's good.
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty crazy.
If you're a Doctor Who fan, this show is for you. They basically were like, we want to put Doctor Who in the DC universe.
Oh,
they already had the character.
Rory is like one of the main characters.
Rory plays a Time Lord.
Yeah.
He's like a time traveler that gets the heroes back from the future and like brings them to the present where like Flash and Arrow are to stop evil, right?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that like the whole concept?
Yeah, it's a Time Lord shows up and takes some villains and some heroes and says, you are all the blood that needs to be put together to stop Armageddon from happening. But it's like Armageddon happens like every episode, so they just have to go to the 70s and they have to go to the 50s and forward in time and stop this from happening. But it's like the dynamic between the characters is a lot of fun. Like Brendan Routh plays like their version of Ant-Man. I don't really know the character's name.
Like Atom Smasher or something like that. Like,
and he plays like the tongue-in-cheek kind of like funny character, and he works really well because I always liked Brendan Routh. Even when he was Superman, I know people gave me shit for that. And the 2 guys from Prison Break, like both guys play. What's the cold and the hot guy? I forget the Mr. Oh, he wears the nerdy glasses in the DC universe. I'm such a bad nerd.
Oh, dude, I'm not the DC guy. I have no idea.
Captain Cold, I think his name is.
Commander Cold.
Commander Cold,
the Flash villain, the guy who like always has a parka on.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Captain Cold or something.
Yeah,
like
they
that.
both have guns that shoot. One shoots like fire, one shoots ice or whatever.
God.
But they work together great, and they have great dynamics with each other. Basically, I know I'm just slaughtering this whole thing. It's such a great series.
I mean, it's not your fault. DC is like super hokey.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. And like, it has Hawkeye or Hawkman and Hawkgirl in it. You know, like, I don't know, it's fun. Like, for not being a huge DC fan, coming into it just blind, I'm having fun with it. So,
a quick aside. This isn't a knock on the show, but from the premise, it kind of sounds like something that originated on Tumblr.
really, like it was like a fan thing.
Oh, absolutely! The fucking Time Lord is gonna go get some superheroes from the past and stop the world from ending. Yeah, that sounds like something from Tumblr.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
God damn it.
I promise I'm not inebriated when I watch this series.
So
I feel like I need to watch this damn show now.
Well, now, see, I just want to go deeper on the Tumblr fanfic now. All right, so Rory and Eleven, right?
Right.
Someone shipped them together, okay? And they can obviously procreate because fanfic. So then they have the Rory lookalike Time Lord, who, like, through timey-wimey wibbly-wobbly, he gets transported to the DC universe, right? It's like, oh, mate, I have to stop Apocalypse, oh! And then fucking, like, gets everybody, right, who are super well-written, I'm sure.
Mm.
Can I just say that your accent was impeccable?
Hey, you know what? I've been practicing.
It shows. It's
good. I promise.
I'll watch an episode at some point. I'll get around to it.
Yeah, and the fact that you said that, like, you know, shipping two characters together, I don't know what the character's name with flames on his head is in the DC universe. He's
Firestorm.
That's his character. He's two characters formed into one, and they separate and work together.
Yeah, that's Firestorm's whole gag.
Okay.
Is that he's a normal dude, and then there's, like, this kind of, like, ethereal fire spirit.
Okay.
And they, like, mind meld, and they turn into, like, one superhero.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually, like, I thought that was kind of a cool thing. Like, you have the old, like, the original, like, Firestorm there, and he's, like, with, like, a new, younger kid and stuff, and has to work with him to, like, and, like, talks to him in his head, and, like, people are trying to, like, take him away and make themselves a new Firestorm. Like, it's kind of cool. I don't know.
It sounds like the show needs more Wonder Twins.
Yes. It's totally Wonder Twins. Alright, moving on to VR news. According to GameBeat, pre-orders for the virtual reality headset begin February 29th, with shipments starting in early April. The device will cost $800, and the reported price tag puts it at full $200 ahead of the Oculus Rift. The Oculus Rift costs $600 and has been expected to ship date in April 2016. So
yeah, VR is going to be really expensive for those that want to, like, beta test the whole thing, essentially.
Yep.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, and especially since there's a lot of different brands now that are coming out. I think it was LG is really pushing their VR headset.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. I mean, I'd rather have a competitive market for something like that, because the only chance of its price ever going down is because you have other, you know, someone else did it better, cheaper. So as long as I have a lot of people making them, I might be able to afford it a little bit sooner, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still not, like, really 100% sold on the whole VR thing yet anyway.
Yeah, and from what I've heard from people that have actually used it and stuff, it's just like, just wait, because once you finally have it on, it's like, I don't want to, you know, quote Disney, but it's a whole new world.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
It's pretty nuts. I've used them before, and they're fucking, it's crazy. Like, it seems so hokey, right? And then like, you actually put the headset on, and you understand the hype. Like, you are even, like, the demonstration that I did, it was like a beta Oculus Rift, and it was this old, like, you know, I'm gonna get in a Jeep and, like, ride around with dinosaurs. And it was like PlayStation 1 graphics, right?
Right.
But it was still super cool.
Like, you were there, yeah.
Yeah, like, you're in it. Like, you can look around and be like, oh shit, that guy's coming up on my side. Oh, let me look to the left. Oh god, there's a T-Rex. Like,
yeah.
It's a very different experience, and that aspect of it is really cool.
Especially when you drop somebody into the graphics that we have now on, like, these new consoles.
Oh
like,
god, yeah.
You kind of want to, like, it's that whole term where it's like, this is so awesome, I want to throw up kind of thing.
Yep. To quote Keenan.
Yes.
This is so awesome, I think I'm going to throw up.
Yeah, so, we'll let them all fight, because I don't think I'm going to see myself owning one for probably another year or two.
Yeah, I think it's mostly just the money. Which, like, yeah, I spent a lot of money when I bought my Xbox, but I pretty much knew that I was going to enjoy this for like another, 10 years?
Yeah, you were going to have a software just, come out with like 2 things for it, and then belly up, never mind, Oculus wins. Like,
no, I had already been using Xbox for so long that it's not that far of a jump to say that the next system would be good. Now moving to something that is complete, like VR, like this whole new concept in gaming, I'm not ready for that kind of money for that yet. But I'll keep an eye out, and maybe honestly, if I try it out, I might end up falling in love. I don't know.
And that's why I feel like Microsoft is going the way of the HoloLens, just because they don't think they feel like it's there yet. But the HoloLens does something to where it kind of just adds to your world that you're seeing already, which I think is a cool concept.
The augmented reality kind of thing.
Yeah, just putting the tiles and stuff you'd see on your Xbox or your Windows 10 PC on your wall and having a YouTube video play there while you're playing Minecraft on your table. Like, just something kind of fun like that,
Yeah.
2 totally different aspects. PlayStation is going for the 100% VR Oculus. So it'll see who really wins that kind of battle. So we will see.
Yeah.
I want to say a big sorry for posting the fake Doctor Strange teaser the other day. That one fooled me. You want to know why? Because it had scenes from Avatar, the movie. Not like Avatar like Blue People, but Avatar like The Last Airbender.
Yeah, the M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong movie.
Yeah, and so I'd never seen that, so therefore I thought it was new footage.
Aww.
And it was edited really well, and it's the first thing that got me, and because it was on my phone, I didn't look at it anywhere else, so I was just like, I posted the trailer, and totally got trolled, and I hate stuff for that.
I'm we're like on the way to go see the Gary Clark Jr. show last night, and like cause Megan came out and picked me up, and I'm looking at my phone, and I see that, and I was like, oh, no. I was like all stoked, but I'm like, I can't watch it now. I don't want to use my data. I'll wait until I get home and got, wireless.
Mm-hmm.
And I get home and like, even in my inebriated state, I'm watching it going, this is bullshit. This is definitely this is definitely not.
Something's not right.
I was going to message you, but I was, under the influence and it was like super late and I said, fuck it. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah, no, it was one of those things where I checked the next day and I was just like, oh, this is awful. Why did I think this was real?
Yeah, I was out with Liz at a bar last night and I was looking on Facebook and I was like, oh shit, new trailer, what's going on? And I immediately went over to Reddit and I was like,
yeah,
it's not a top result anywhere. I wonder.
Especially since when I looked and it wasn't from Marvel or Disney or anything.
Yeah.
It was from random schmo. I was like, God
damn it.
You have to keep waiting a little bit longer for that, folks.
Yeah. John Cusack will be at MegaCon 2016.
Ooh.
That's so cool.
Isn't that very random, though?
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
really random.
Not comic book related in the slightest, but hey, John Cusack.
Yeah, that's still pretty cool. That's intriguing enough.
Yeah, old school nerds like his movie, or his movies,
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's done some sci-fi stuff, so they get to put him in on that.
Yeah, I listened to him on a Nerdist podcast recently where Chris Hardwick got to sit down and talk with him, and he's a very interesting dude.
Yeah.
He's very down to earth, very what movie was it that he was in that's a John Hughes film, and he was a side character as a kid? I want to say it's Pretty in Pink or 16 Candles or one of those, but he plays the side kid, and that's where he got his start, and it's just funny to see him how he's more popular than anybody else in that film,
Right.
So good for him. And I even liked him in Hot Tub Time Machine, so there's that, I guess.
I'll have him sign my copy of Identity.
There you go.
Nice.
Super
I'll find
exciting.
an old High Fidelity record and have him sign that.
I can't think of another obscure Tom Cusack movie title for another joke here.
1408. All right, moving on.
There you go.
So, let's see what we got here.
Can we,
What do you guys?
I was gonna say, we should definitely talk about video games.
Yeah, what are you guys playing right now?
I know I'm way fucking late to the game, but dudes, Rocket League is pretty good.
Yeah, that game is super cool.
Yeah, it just came out for Xbox One a few days ago, and I've been working pretty much all weekend, so I haven't really been able to play it much, but goddamn, that is some fun gameplay, man. I don't know what it is. It's just a perfect mix of simple concepts that it's 5-minute rounds, so if you only want to play a couple rounds, it's not going to take you a whole lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
But you can easily get lost for an hour playing this game too.
Next round.
Oh yeah, dude. It's one of those things that just you can make the simplest goal, and you're like, oh shit, I gotta watch that again. That was so cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, it was really great. Lee and I got to play last night with her friend Thomas.
Oh man.
And yeah, it was a good time. I kind of sucked.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like there was times.
No. You made some shit happen a couple times.
Yeah, there was times where like I started out and I would just be hitting the ball in the wrong goal. I could hear Thomas going, "No, don't do that." But yeah, super fun. Came out on Xbox Live for $19.99.
Yeah, it's $20, you know.
Yeah, and there's tons of unlockable things for your cars, which are all actually like licensed stuff. Like basically like, you know, gonna have an IGN flag or a Twitch flag or odds. What was it? The odds, Odyssey? Like.
Oh yeah, you could get Abe's head.
Yeah.
Like,
Whatever.
As like
that's
an
awesome.
antenna topper, basically.
That's so cool.
I think I'm rocking the flag with the Funhouse logo on it, which is fucking awesome. I think there's a Rooster Teeth and Achievement Hunter logos in there as well.
Yeah,
that's awesome that like YouTubers have flags in this fucking game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that a lot. It's just such a fun game, man. And I love the worlds. They look really nice. Good job.
Yeah, everything is like, I don't know, just visually stunning for that game. That's really good. I'm playing that, and I'm finally getting around to playing. I finally got around to beating Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and I'm so glad that it didn't suck as bad as Unity.
Yeah, you know, the theming looks really fun in that game,
and the characters are significantly more interesting than Arno was.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand they can't all be Ezio, dreamy, perfect Ezio.
Oh my god,
he was
so tired of Ezio.
Oh man, Old Man Ezio is still my favorite. I love that guy. But Jacob and Evie Fry are actually really interesting. They've got a cool dynamic between the two where they kind of play off the, you know, like Jacob is the brawler type where he's the, I'm gonna run in, beat him up and ask questions later kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then Evie is more of the, you know, stealth based, I'm gonna sneak in, play my cards right, keep it cool. And they're both kind of sort of after different things too. Evie is the one that kind of brings in the, like the artifacts from like the ancient alien race that they've essentially been like hunting every game.
Yeah.
Like the pieces of Eden. She's kind of doing that stuff. Like the Assassin's Guild type stuff, like where they're really delving into the lore. And then Jacob kind of goes in and is the one that's mostly responsible for taking down the big gang lords and stuff. And it works out really, 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 really well to the point where it's actually fun playing as both characters, and I didn't stick with just one of them.
Oh, that's great. That's probably the best thing you could do, I think, is piggyback off each other.
Yeah, it worked really well, and it was really fun, and I actually was invested in the story for the first time in a while.
What would you say was the last one that you were invested in?
The last one that I think was really, really, really good was Black Flag. That was a solid fucking game.
Yeah.
But that was more so because the gameplay was so
different,
new and different. Yeah, with all the pirate battles and stuff. What was that? Kenway, I think, was the character for that one, and he was pretty cool. The story itself was already interesting because it was borrowing from like other pirate lore and everything. But I didn't really like Unity. Unity wasn't that great. I understand that when people get sick of Ezio too, I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty good. It's actually a good game, and I'm glad they actually announced something where they're not going to be making them every year anymore.
Yes.
Thank
which
God.
is like the best fucking news.
Yeah,
I was like, finally a studio gets it. I'm like, slow down, you know?
Yeah. And I'm sure they're dumping thousands of dollars into like that for fans just to go like, we don't want anymore. Like that's probably when you should really kind of look at your franchise, stop. And they got that movie coming out. So I think this is the perfect time to really stop, look at it. And maybe if they do another game, just call it Assassin's Creed and kind of start over.
Maybe. I mean, as to the future of the franchise, I have no idea. But I mean, I like that they're taking this year off and they're going to do like a 2-year release plan. You know, they'll take a little bit more time to actually put, you know, care and love into these games. Mm-hmm. And considering the fallout with how fucking buggy and glitchy Unity was, which wasn't something I saw a lot of in Syndicate, so that made me happy.
That's good.
But it's just like with all the controversy that surrounded that franchise the last couple of years, they're probably like, we should probably like sit back and really reevaluate how we want to do this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Plus, that movie looks kind of cool. I don't know. I'm not really sure how I feel about
Fassbender.
Any of it, just because I don't know how well it's going to translate to film. But
yeah,
still kind of excited for it.
I think that the overall story of Assassin's Creed kind of lends itself perfectly to film. with the whole kind of coming in and coming out of reality.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So if they don't touch on that, I think that'll be like almost a missed opportunity.
I feel like they're obligated to. Like
Yeah.
that's not the most important parts of the story, because a lot of the games have been putting less of that in,
Mm-hmm.
or giving you less control, and those would be like in Syndicate. It's the stuff for modern day is mostly just little cutscenes. Still really interesting cutscenes with characters that you've seen before, but they're giving you less control over it. I just hope that they don't think that it's unnecessary now.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of have to have that to ground it in reality a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right,
we'll see.
totally.
I don't know. I'm kind of excited about it.
Awesome. Seamus, what are you playing?
Not really a whole lot of anything. I've been grinding in Final Fantasy X HD
Nice.
remaster.
Nice, for the PS4?
Well, PS3. I don't have a PS4.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm trying to get platinum in that game, and yeah, it's there's a lot of fucking stuff to do.
10 was a solid game.
10. So what keeps me coming back to that game is the gameplay and the music, because the story is especially compared to like the other Final Fantasies. Yeah, and the voice acting is atrocious. Like, even like you can argue on that like specific scene because like he's trying to be ridiculous and stuff, but the voice acting is still awful.
It's still bad nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly. So, like what's drawing me in is like the actual grind. Like it doesn't get that boring. Like I think I played for like 10 hours last weekend. Like
Nice.
just like sat down for a day. I was like, well, all right, I'm just gonna do this.
Here's a question. Can you complete the Blitzball in that game? Like, everything for your characters?
So you can you have to play Blitzball a lot to get Waka's ultimate weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And then
It's
you can,
worth it. It's absolutely
Well,
fucking
well, Waka and Titus do the most damage in the game with their overdrives. So Waka's and Lulu's celestial weapons are the only ones that I don't have like completely upgraded, because Waka's is the one where you have to play a shit ton of Blitzball, and it just gets so goddamn boring. Like I don't.
It's kind of wonky. Like controlling Blitzball.
It's poorly coded FIFA, and like I don't play sports games. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And then Lulu's celestial weapon is a thing where you have to avoid 200 lightning strikes in the Thunder Plains, and like fuck that noise. Like,
yeah, I think that was.
I'm good.
That was the one I didn't bother trying to get when I played that game originally. I was like, yeah, fuck that. I'm not, because that was the last one I got around to doing.
Right.
And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and beat the game. Fuck this.
Yeah, you saying that in Thunder Plains just was like nails on chalkboard for me like 10 years ago.
God.
Like I was just like, oh god.
I'm sure anybody listening just cringed a little bit too.
Yeah, exactly. Thankfully, you don't have to you don't have to complete the celestial weapons for any trophies on the PlayStation Network. You just have to obtain them.
Oh,
so yeah, so like I have, Lulu's and Waka's are like half upgraded or whatever. And if I never upgrade, like if I never fully upgrade them, then whatever. There's no sweat off my balls.
Right.
So
I don't think that's how that saying goes, Seamus.
Yeah, no, it's don't worry about it. Yeah, it's that game is crazy deep.
Yeah, it's a really good game. I liked it way better than 7. Like everybody on the 7 bandwagon. I get it. That came out at that perfect time where you had the right amount of people being interested in a game like that, because those were finally starting to get big over here. Plus, like, it was a relatively new system, and it was the right mix of things happened to make 7 popular. I don't think it was nearly as good as everybody thinks it was.
And I still feel like 10 really, honestly, like was the last of the really good standalone Final Fantasy games.
I would agree with that. So I've got,
how many of those are there? Like 1,000? There's at least 100 now.
15?
Oh yeah.
15 main series games?
Which one's the one coming out with all the boys in the convertible?
Oh, that's 15. Yeah,
15.
that is 15.
All right.
Yeah, no, dude, Lee, it looks like goddamn like anime like 90s sitcom. Like,
it's just funny the way Keenan said that. It sounded like my dad saying it. Like,
what's the one with the boys in the convertible?
Playing that dang rap music.
Yeah.
But people that have had hands on with that game though have said it's beautiful, it plays really well, and like the idea that you can now have a car than just walking everywhere is like really fun. So I'm really excited to see what comes from that game.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. I mean, I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. Like, I've played all of them. It's weird. Like, I agree with semi-agree with the statement that 10 was like the last good one.
Mhm.
So, like 6 through 10 were good,
Right.
and then 12 was good.
12 is good.
But
All right.
12 isn't a very good Final Fantasy game though. But it is a very good game.
Mhm.
And that's an important distinction to make in that series when you're talking about that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of how, like, I've heard people say, and I kind of agree with this too, that the Spirits Within movie is a cool movie, just not a good Final Fantasy movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, if you watch it and you take Final Fantasy out of it, you're like, this is actually kind of entertaining.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that then, is what you're saying?
Yeah, sort of. So, like, Final Fantasy 12, the big runners of the series had all left, Square,
Mm-hmm.
at that point, and 12 is in this kind of, like, universe setting that they have where, a bunch of the other games are based in. So, like, Final Fantasy Tactics, and the other, like, portable tactics games like Advance and A2,
Mm-hmm.
and then an old, more obscure Square RPG, Vagrant Story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, I'm going way back.
Yeah.
Are all in this setting called Ivalice, and they put Final Fantasy XII in Ivalice, and they did a completely different way that they wanted to tell the story. Like, they the story never really had a main character until the last minute. So it was this whole big, like, Game of Thrones, like, political intrigue, like, big cast
Mhm.
kind of thing. And then they were like, oh, well, we need a main character, so we're going to make the adolescent man-child, the main character or whatever. And that did not turn out well.
Yeah.
As you do, you know.
Yeah, as you do, yeah. But, like, the gameplay of that was really cool. Like, the setting was cool. It was a big departure, but it didn't feel like a classic Final Fantasy game. But it's still an excellent game.
Yeah, still a very good, was it, like a strategy game, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
RPG.
yeah. Well, it's still an RPG. It plays kind of like a single player MMO because it's
Ah,
there were no random battles anymore. You, like, run into battles in the field,
right.
and then, like, the commands would come up or whatever.
Which I think is still a thing in the new Final Fantasy.
Yeah, there haven't been random battles since 10.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not really counting a whole lot because there's 2 MMOs and then one game that plays like an MMO and a hallway simulator.
Mhm.
So,
Damn, that's
yeah,
savage.
man, yeah, 13 is rough.
Yeah, and you just gotta think, that's just how, like, it's weird how technology being hindered back in the day kind of made for a better game, because,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, you ran into random battles, but now that we have the technology where you can literally put creatures all over the plains and just go up and fight them, kind of takes away from the mystery of what you're gonna get next, you know?
No, absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, those games were lightning in a bottle, man.
I agree. They were great for a long time, but it's been a awkward swan song for the last, like, decade.
Yeah, and I think, was it
Like,
11 and 14 are online?
Yeah, they're MMOs that are good. 14 had a big re-release like 2 years ago that it's probably the top competitor to WoW.
Wow.
I mean, that's not saying a lot. It's 5 million subscribers versus like 500,000.
Right.
But it's definitely one of the most popular ones that's still out right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I didn't realize that people were still playing that game.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
11 is like dead. It has been for a while.
Well, yeah.
And it was like punishingly hard. That was not a good MMO. But 14 is fantastic.
And if you're a big fan of Final Fantasy IX, it just got re-released on iOS and Android.
Bwah, 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 bwah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
insert fucking air horn here.
yeah, it's like, that game was so much fun and did not get a lot of credit at all when it kind of came out. And even afterwards, when people were playing 10, I don't think anybody really gave 9 a chance.
I would agree with that.
And it's just like, it's one of those games where, like, I'm like, it's $20 on the App Store, and I want to get it, but I was telling Seamus earlier, I'm so afraid that I'm in the middle of a Final Fantasy game in public and someone stops me, I might not listen to what they have to say, or, like, just put my phone down, because when you're playing Final Fantasy, you're in it. Like, that's...
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not like a lot of mobile games where you can only half pay attention and still do moderately well.
Right.
It's a Final Fantasy game. You kind of have to be paying attention to what you're doing.
Yeah, so it's really weird for me because the first game I got like that was KOTOR on my phone. Like I was like, I can get KOTOR on my phone. This is amazing. And I was playing it and I found myself stopping every 2 minutes, and then you have to go back and it has a save thing, so you can't just turn your phone off. You have to save, and it's a blessing and an awful all at the same time.
Yeah. Just because you can put those games on a phone doesn't mean you should put those games on a phone.
Right.
Agreed. Yeah.
But it's perfect for the person that commutes by like a bus or a trolley or something.
Yeah.
Like that,
Pop some headphones in, zone out for like 30 minutes.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Plane rides, perfect.
It's perfect for that. Yeah, it's hard for us, people who live in like a big spread out city or like live in small towns where like you have to drive everywhere and your free time is like in front of the TV, so why not play it on the console anyway?
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Keenan, I've heard you've been playing Firewatch.
I have. Firewatch has been great. It's a story. It's very well. It's from the artist. I don't know if you've seen those alternate Star Wars posters where it's like C-3PO and his eyes are the two suns, and it's kind of like just like a few colors, like two or three.
Yeah, those minimalist posters are really cool. I remember somebody posting those like a while back.
They got that artist to develop this game.
Oh, cool.
So when you're in the woods, like, cause the game is basically you're a park ranger. And you're just, you just do park ranger things, and the only communication you have is with another park ranger over your walkie-talkie. So it kind of has that Walking Dead, you can pick your choice of what you want to say kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And you have to go off and like, hey, these kids are littering, and like, they left a fire on, go, tell them what's up. But the beautiful game about the game is there's no physical people in the game except for you. So you might hear some girls that are skinny dipping in the water far down the way and see silhouettes, but you never really see another person. So it's all very atmospheric and storytelling driven.
Yeah, it's more ambiance than anything else.
Right.
Pretty cool.
And in the beginning, I didn't see this coming. The way they developed the story, it's like, it's just fun. And it says like, something tragic has happened to your wife, she has dementia and you don't know how you can work with her very well. Like, what do you do? Like, how do you cope with this? Like, do you see her after work? Do you not see her after work? And it's like very heavy right off the bat.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so basically your character goes to get this job, to get away because like her family ends up taking her away, how you play the story, from you. And that's kind of a hard thing, you're getting your wife taken away from her parents. So
there's some serious themes here. Damn.
Yeah. So it gets really heavy really quick. And you're kind of talking to this other woman on your walkie-talkie who's like, in another Firewatch tower. And you could have the option to flirt and not flirt. It's just kind of what you would do in that scenario, It's very interesting. Very good storytelling. It's a really quick game. Maybe take you about 4 to 5 hours to complete. The game goes by chapters. So if you finish, like, it'll be like day 7, day 8, and then sometimes it'll fast forward to like day 72, just to show how long you've been there, kind of thing. But I highly recommend it. Beautiful game, great storytelling. I love this game to death. So definitely check that one out. I've also been playing a lot of Street Fighter V and getting my ass kicked.
Nice.
I'm not a good fighting game guy, but I still enjoy the genre and playing it.
I heard that there was some problems at launch with some of the online stuff, like
couldn't get into a lobby just to play with my friends, like
essentially like from what I heard, it was like a lot of the stuff that you really wanted to do was online. So you basically bought a game that didn't work for like $60.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah, and it's sad because from what they did from Street Fighter 4 to Street Fighter 5, they kind of made it a lot minimal, and that's another whole podcast I could go on to about how they're making a lot of games more minimalistic these days.
If you could wait like another 2 weeks, we'll record another one of those games.
Yeah, I'll write that down.
I'll let you bitch about it for as long as you want.
But yeah, it's just like they took out a lot. It's very bare bones. It's like, hey, here's a lobby. You make the lobby. You invite a friend. You play. The next area, versus mode. You invite another controller. You can fight. You can play. In story mode, you can play stories. You can play. That is it. That's exactly where it's at.
That's arguably like all the components to a fighting game for the most part anyway, right?
Right. They took away all like the beautiful opening cinematics. They took away all the extra characters. They took away just a lot of what was kind of really making Street Fighter on its own, like back in the fighting game category. Because if you go to Mortal Kombat has this great overall storytelling, between all these characters and dynamics, and you feel more like, oh, I want to kick this guy's ass now because he did this to a person I like, or something like that.
Yeah, whether or not you like those games, they do have a rich universe of characters.
Yeah, so I'd say like Mortal Kombat's definitely taking over in the fighting game category of just like quality to their fighting games, whereas Capcom has kind of done the opposite and taken away from their games, and I think it's going to hurt them.
So it's like they basically sacrificed art in part of the visual medium for efficiency.
Right. And I've even seen some of my fighting game friends or like fanatics for this stuff has just been like, well, I'm still sitting in a lobby waiting to get this done. Like it takes forever just to fight one round, and it shouldn't be like that for that kind of round. Like you should be in something that constantly is, like 4, you could sit there in the lobby, watch somebody fighting and be like kind of an arcade where you put your quarter down and you wait and you're watching them fight. And then once that person wins, then it's your turn next and you go in. And it worked really good. It was a great dynamic, but yeah, not so much in this one. But from what I hear is Capcom has said that they're doing updates and they're adding it. And I think it's just, oh shit, people are pissed. We're doing this really quick kind of thing.
Yeah.
And of course, they already have DLC for Guile and characters that have already just been in the series. That's $20. So it's Capcom being Capcom.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the formula for a lot of fighting games that I've seen that have come out in like the last couple of years, where here's a handful of characters, some that and like some that are new. Mm-hmm. And then we're gonna have these little other DLC packs for characters or something as bare bones as like a skin change, where you pay like little bits and pieces there, and people do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not a fighting game guy, so I guess I don't really understand the appeal. But I do equivalents in like shooters and stuff that I play on the Xbox as well. So I guess I kind of get it, and it kind of sucks, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's the genre. If you're going to pay, for a map pack for a shooter game, you're going to pay, for fighters, like 6 fighters. It just works for each. That's where we're at now in video games.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is what it is. I don't know if you guys have been playing The Witness at all.
No, but I've seen gameplay. It's like that. You get those cool little like puzzles and stuff where you're trying to like connect all the wires and circuitry, and
such a smart game.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
The fact that this game is like, okay, so you can walk up to a puzzle in the very beginning of the game, and there's a language that goes along with the game that you learn, like a made up language.
Yeah.
Cool. So for every puzzle that you unlock, you kind of learn the language a little bit. So in the very beginning, you can unlock this huge puzzle that could beat the game in the first puzzle, but because you don't know the language yet, you can't do it. So you will eventually go back to that puzzle to go through. And
that's super cool.
Dude, I'm telling you, I've sat here night by night racking my brain on these puzzles, trying so hard not to just YouTube them.
Yeah.
You feel so accomplished when you get them done.
Yeah. And there's like really, really interesting ones where Seamus, essentially you're looking at like a grid where you kind of have to move these lines. Like you start at point A, you have to get it to point B, and you're essentially finishing a circuit. And sometimes they're a little more complicated. Sometimes when you're controlling one, you move one on the opposite end.
Yeah.
And you'll go up, and the other one won't be able to go down. So you have to kind of like work it around.
Okay, yeah.
And there's parts where you'll have shadows from stuff behind you, like on the screen, and that's what you're supposed to follow, even though it doesn't really make it look like that. Like,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting things like that in that game.
And the world itself is great. There's no soundtrack, so the ambience is very interesting.
It's eerie.
Yeah, it's very eerie. And you're on this island doing these things, and it's definitely worth a watch. And I think it's like $40 right now, on the App Store on Steam. But definitely check that one out.
Sounds a lot like Myst.
Myst, yeah, it has a very Myst feel to it, and it kind of harkens back to that a lot. Apparently, the guy that made this game, cool. he put all of his money from his last game into this game. And I can't remember what the last game was, but it was a very small indie game.
Braid.
Braid, yes.
Yeah.
Nice. Dude,
yeah, so
safe.
Yeah, he made a ton of money on that in his.
Yeah, well, Braid was wildly popular.
Yeah. That's putting it lightly.
Yeah, seriously.
Exactly. But yeah, other than that, I got Far Cry Primal coming out next week.
I'm really excited about Far Cry Primal.
Caveman the game.
That's going to be really interesting because it's the biggest departure from the series since like Blood Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
For different reasons. Also, it's not numbered.
Right.
But I don't think that means it's going to be any less of a game. I think it's not going to have. Not like 1 through 4 have some kind of overarching storyline anyway. they're all relatively self-contained.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting that you were getting a non-numbered game, and it's also thousands of years ago.
Right, yeah.
Or you're going to be Neanderthals, throwing rocks and hitting each other with sticks and stuff.
Yeah, I watched gameplay of this, and it looked really interesting of going out with a bunch of cavemen and being like, alright, there's a woolly mammoth, we gotta take him down. And then out of nowhere, there's a fucking, mountain lion, and it just tears up all the other cavemen, and it's just you left.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah, this should be fun.
Also, the beta for the Division, the open beta for the Division just came out a couple days ago, too.
Yes.
And I haven't played it yet. I have it. I just haven't had the time, because that's one... It's not like Rocket League where I'm like, well, I got 30 minutes before I should go to bed, so I'm going to pop on and get a couple rounds. Like, the Division, I want to make sure I've got, a nice little chunk of time to...
Yeah, you're taking back Times Square, man. You gotta get in there.
Yeah. My buddy Mike says he's been playing it, and he likes it a lot. And I'm sure that I'll probably enjoy it because it's probably got a lot of the same, relatively MMO-type qualities like Destiny did.
Yeah, it does. You'll love it, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I want to play the beta before the game comes out because I'm really interested in getting that game. I'm a big Tom Clancy nerd anyway. I fucking love all those. But I'm not 100% convinced that the Division is going to be worth the money because Destiny burned me. It got better and they made up for it, but Destiny kind of burned me for that first year, so I don't want that to really happen again. But we'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
You bringing up Far Cry Primal reminded me of the game, so I just found it. Sorry. That I was thinking about Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh my god, yes. I'm really excited about that.
I have no idea when that game is actually coming out. But it looks so goddamn cool.
Yeah, that's the one where it's it's got similar elements where it kind of has that Neanderthal hunting a dinosaur kind of feel, but it's in the future, right?
Yeah.
It's they're robots.
It's far future post-apocalypse and you're like a primal hunter fighting robot dinosaurs.
Yeah, people have almost regressed a little bit.
And it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, they announced it at E3 last year. I think it'll definitely probably, as much as I would love to say, I want to say it's a fall game this year.
Oh, I'm
probably.
sure, yeah.
Because it looks like they've been working on it for quite a while. But yeah, that game looks beautiful.
That's definitely one that I want to keep an eye out. I was thinking of that when we were talking about Primal 2, and I just can't remember what the hell it was called.
Yeah, I had to do the exact same thing. I was like, wait, what is that? What the fuck?
Yeah, it's probably a good idea that they're releasing this game now, Far Cry Primal, just before that game comes out, because this game looks like it's just going to trump that.
Absolutely.
Well, sweet, guys. So that's the show for this week. You can email us over at spacedragoncast@gmail.com, Facebook at the Space Dragon Podcast, Twitter at Space Dragon Cast, and Tumblr at Space Dragon Podcast. Where can we follow you guys?
You can actually check out a bunch of our video work that I do on YouTube as well. So if you look for the Space Dragon Podcast, you can find a bunch of video game Let's Plays. And I'm actually going to start posting the podcast on there as well for people that don't have access to things like iTunes or podcast aggregators and stuff.
So somebody could be listening to us on YouTube right now.
Oh man, right now, but in the future, but it's not right now.
But it's still right now. But
you guys sound like writers on DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
So Rory, he's like a Time Lord, right? But not right now.
420.
But later in the 70s. All right. Cool. All right.
It's gotten severely out of hand. We should probably cut out of here.
All right. See you guys next month.